Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. So glad to see so many faces here today. To lead us off to begin today's events, I'd like to introduce Emma Copenhaver. She's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you could please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, Emma. I'd like to just start off by introducing myself. My name is Stephanie Zimmerman. I'm the director of the State Farmland Preservation Program. Before we begin, I'd like to recognize a few people. To start off, I'd like to recognize the Lebanon County Commissioners Mike Kuntz and Joellen Lutz. Thank you. Senator Chris Gebhardt and Representative Tom Jones. There he is. Thank you. We have representatives from Judy Schwank's office. I think I saw Bill Evans sneaking around here. Thank you, Bill. Representatives from Dan Maul's office, Carrie Golden. Thank you, Carrie. And I believe we also have Representative Eddie Day Pashinsky with us. All right. Thank you all for attending. As we stand here today, surrounded by this beautiful farm, with its rolling fields, open skies, the quiet strength of the land, we're reminded of what makes Pennsylvania so special. It's farms like this, not only part of our landscape, but they're part of our legacy. Agriculture is the background of the Commonwealth, and protecting farmland like this means protecting our future. That's what makes farmland preservation so special. It's a promise that this land will remain farmland, not just today, but for generations to come. Through partnerships between the state, counties, farm families, we purchase agricultural conservation easements. These are legal agreements that keep this farm in production forever. It's a simple idea with a lasting impact. Preserving farmland supports our food supply, strengthens our communities, protects open space, and helps farmers plan for the future. Since the creation of the program in 1988, Pennsylvania's Farmland Preservation Program has grown into a national leader, setting the standard for how states can protect working farmland. Today, we are marking a major achievement in this journey, ones that reflect decades of partnership, vision, and commitment to our agricultural future. This success is only possible because of the strong partnerships with local governments, local leaders, our program staff, and most importantly, the farmers who make the choice to preserve their land. I'd like to take just a moment to recognize my incredible farmland team. Andrea Reiner, April Orwig, Amy Cooper, Neil Imes, and Chris Snyder. It's a pleasure to work with this group every day. These individuals bring knowledge, dedication, and heart to this work. They're the ones reviewing easements, supporting counties, working with landowners, and ensuring that every acre preserved meets our high standards. Their commitment behind the scenes makes all of this possible, and I'm so proud to stand beside all of them in this effort. Throughout today's event, you're going to hear from some of the people who makes today's milestone possible, including the farm families who put preservation into action. It's my pleasure now to introduce one of those farm families, someone who understands what it means to make a lasting commitment to the future. Please join us in welcoming Brent Copenhaver to the podium for a few comments.
Thank you. Good job.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Brent.
Good afternoon. My name, like she said, is Brent Copenhaver. My wife Stacy is around here. I also have 3 children, Ethan, Emma, and Tanner. We just welcome you today to Towview Dairy. Just to give you a little bit of a background on our operation, currently we are milking around 400 cows and we farm about 400 acres. And I'm sure some of you are thinking, wow, that is a lot of commitment from one family. It is. However, we have a tremendous group of employees here that without them, we would not be able to run this operation smoothly, and we greatly appreciate each and every one of them. Just to give you a little history of our farming operation, I personally did not grow up on a dairy farm. However, I did have the opportunity in 2007 to buy into a local dairy farm, and that's kind of how we got started. Jumping forward to 2016, Stacy and I were fortunate enough to purchase this farm from her parents. This farm here was actually preserved in 1994. With that said, that gave us a great foundation to start our farming future. However, the last time a cow was milked here on this farm was in the 90s, so the buildings were a little bit outdated. Now, if I look to my left here, you'll see a new barn and parlor. That is kind of what we decided to do to kind of secure our future in agriculture and also to have our family being raised on a farm. That was one of our goals as we wanted to raise our family on a farm. I think that those opportunities that I just mentioned, I sometimes question, like, would I actually be farming today if I did not have those opportunities? And I'm not quite sure what that answer would be. But I think that leads into why we are celebrating this milestone today. The 6,500 farms that have been preserved and the 650,000 acres that have been protected. Not only is it securing future generations in farming, but it is preserving green space, it is preserving land and future in agriculture in the state of Pennsylvania. Preserving farmland, I think, preserving farmland ensures agriculture stays part of Pennsylvania's economy as far as like local foods, local jobs, and just in community in general. When you protect a farm, you're not only saving open space, you are protecting the values, the work ethic, and the opportunities that farms pass on to generation. So to everyone that has made this preservation milestone a success, we say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Now it's my honor to introduce Governor Shapiro.
Thanks, Brent. Thank you. Thank you, Brent. Good afternoon, everyone. It is a beautiful day here in Lebanon County, and anytime I see Russell Redding's name on my schedule, I know it's going to be a good day because it means I get to go to a farm and get out of the office. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. It's a pleasure to be here with the greatest agriculture secretary in the United States of America, Secretary Russell Redding. Thank you very, very much for all your work. And Brent, thank you for sharing your family's story with us. It's great to be here at Talview Dairy, and it was awesome to meet your wife, Stacy, who I understand I've got to write a note for because she's missing school today. I don't know if the note will help. You have to let me know if it helps. But thanks for what you do as a teacher, and thank you for continuing your family's commitment to agriculture. It really matters to us, and we're grateful to be here with you and grateful to have met Emma. And so thank you, Emma. I would note that Emma forgot to introduce Ethan, her brother, on the way in, but it's cool to meet you too, Ethan, and you guys have a wonderful family, and I'm grateful you gave me the opportunity to visit with you here today. Today is an important day for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and I wanted to be here in this county and on this farm to make this major announcement with the Department of Agriculture's investment in 24 farms last week to preserve them for posterity. I am now able to announce that Pennsylvania has preserved 6,600 farms, more than any other state in the entire country. We are #1 in farmland preservation. Talview is a great example of the longevity and the importance of this program. This farm was preserved about 30 years ago, as you heard. And over the course of these last 30 years, this work to preserve and protect farms has gone on through Democratic and Republican administrations in partnership with local county preservation boards and different farmers from all across our Commonwealth. This has not only been bipartisan, this has been common sense as we've worked so hard to preserve these farms. Consider this, since 1989, the Commonwealth has invested $1.78 billion in farmland preservation together with our local boards in order to protect those 660,000 acres of farms. We've invested $40 million right here in Lebanon County. I know your county commissioners are happy about that, to preserve about 22,000 acres right here in this county. On my watch, over just the last 2.5 years, we've invested another $340 million in farmland preservation. I am proud of the fact that we are the top state in the nation for farmland preservation. And this work is critical because it means more and more of our family farms can stay farms forever. Listen, preservation is critically important, but the future of agriculture is absolutely critical. I want to take a moment and just talk about the future of ag and how I see it and how I see farms like this playing a pivotal role in Pennsylvania's growth. For about 20 years, the Commonwealth did not have an economic development strategy. We were investing money, but it was in a whole bunch of different things, and as a result, our economy wasn't growing the way it needed to. We weren't creating jobs the way we needed to, and frankly, the Commonwealth was trying to do too many things. On my watch, that changed. For the first time in 20 years, we have an economic development strategy. Why do I mention that? Because we're focused only on 5 core areas of growth opportunity, and one of those areas is agriculture. For the first time ever, we're focused on agriculture, not just from the standpoint of preservation, not just looking at it from an historical perspective, but understanding that ag is key to our economic growth for the future of this Commonwealth. And we have invested mightily, more money for capital for our farmers than ever before. You know, Pennsylvania was just recognized as the only state in the entire northeastern portion of the United States to have a growing economy. All the others are slipping back or are stagnant. Pennsylvania's economy is growing, and a big part of that is because we are investing in agriculture again, investing capital and investing in workforce. 600,000 of our fellow Pennsylvanians work in agriculture. A whole bunch of them work on small and mid-sized farms. I'm proud of the fact that we've got more small and mid-sized farms than any other state in the entire country. I think this is a strength. It generates about $1.3 billion for our economy each year. And again, that number is growing. So we're seeing more capital, more investment in workforce, and we're seeing significant advancements because we are not only investing dollars, but we are moving really quickly. I know if you're a farmer, you want to build something on your farm, you want to expand something on your farm, you oftentimes bump into the Commonwealth because you need a permit. And I know that historically getting a permit in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania took too darn long. It was incredibly frustrating. And I know many of you had to get a permit through DEP, the Department of Environmental Protection. And while those folks did a really good job, they were dealing with a massive backlog of permits. And so by the time they got around to your permit, to process it, to approve it, it had already been many months, in some cases, many years. Today, I can stand before you and make a second announcement, and that is we no longer have a single backlog of a single permit at the Department of Environmental Protection, meaning when you put your permit in, it gets processed immediately. In addition to that, we now have a money-back guarantee on our permits, which means if we tell you it's going to take 30 days and we don't get your permit within 30 days, we will give you your money back. So no more backlogs at DEP. Our permits are moving faster than ever. We used to be bottom 5 in the country on the speed to get a permit. Now we are an example to other states in the country. In fact, I chair a panel of the National Governors Association on how to help other states mimic our permitting successes. So we're investing capital, we're moving quickly, and we're thinking about our future. When I go to different farms across Pennsylvania, which I'm privileged to do on an almost weekly basis, I hear from farmers all the time about the need for more capital, specifically when it comes to innovation and technology. How important that technology is, not to replace workers by any stretch, not to replace farmhands, but to allow them to be far more efficient. We came together on a bipartisan basis and became the first state in the entire country to have an Ag Innovation Fund. $10 million to invest in technology for farmers to help them yield more crops, to help them save time, to help them do more in their communities. I know we're joined today by three lawmakers, including the chairman of the Agriculture Committee in the House of Representatives, Eddie Day Pashinsky, and I'm grateful that the chairman's here. He led this effort in the House. We're joined by Representative Jones and Senator Gephardt. This is something that is critically important, I know, for all of us. And that's why I was pleased just a few days ago, the House of Representatives passed a bipartisan budget for next year, increasing that Ag Innovation Fund, going from $10 million to $12.5 million. I hope the Senate will come back to work and pass that. It's bipartisan, it's common sense, and it's good for our farmers. We've got to continue to invest more capital, and this is just one area where we've seen a dramatic increase, and now we see other states wanting to have a similar fund. In addition to that, we recognize that the capital dollars matter, but the people matter most. And we have been really focused on making sure, starting in our high schools, that we have young people in a position to go into careers in agriculture. I love seeing the folks from FFA here. You understand what I mean. I want those 9th and 10th, 11th, 12th graders to be able to learn the power of farming in the classroom. So we've doubled our funding for VOTEC or CTE, and it's really important that we have welders and plumbers. It's also really important that we have farmhands. In addition to that, we've dramatically increased funding for our apprenticeship programs. And get this, we have 11 new apprenticeship programs just for people who want to work on farms, for things like dairy herd management and other things. So we're investing the capital and we are investing in the workforce. And I want to give a shout out to Penn State, who have been great partners in this effort. Look, I'll close with this. I'm proud that Pennsylvania is a leader when it comes to agriculture. I'm honored to serve as your governor as we see more and more be invested in our farmlands. And we are seeing real results from those investments of capital, investments of workforce, and investments in terms of speed to market. We today have more farmers under the age of 35 than any other state in the nation. That tells me we are poised for great success on farmlands like this for the future. Pennsylvania is second in the nation when it comes to direct-to-consumer sales. We are number one in the nation for organic poultry. We're third in the nation on overall organic sales, and we are number one when it comes to egg production. And the list goes on and on and on. If you can't tell, I love bragging about our farmers, and we're going to keep investing in you because we know when we invest in you, good things happen. And by the way, there's one more thing we are number one on in the nation, and that is farmland preservation. And I couldn't be more proud to be here in Lebanon County to make that announcement today. So thank you very, very much for having me. The person who oversees this work for us, the aforementioned Russell Redding, deserves a tremendous amount of credit. He's worked in our state for so many years. He does extraordinary work. Ladies and gentlemen, the Secretary of Agriculture, Secretary Russell Redding.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Hey, Governor, thank you, and good afternoon, everybody. It is good to be here. It is an honor always to stand with the governor anywhere, but particularly on farms.
Yes.
Right. We've had great conversations. We've seen the very best of Pennsylvania on these farms. We've seen the families, the communities that come together, and we're always sort of, you walk away humble for what you see, what you hear, and the things that you get a chance to both experience and be part of in those private conversations, but also the enthusiasm and the vision that comes through in every family that we meet, and today is no different. So thank you for hosting here, the Copenhavers. Thank you very much. I also feel like, when you get to this point in the program, maybe just say amen. right? And just keep moving. I mean, the governor has been amazing in his leadership, and I say this often, that the opportunity to continue to serve was driven by a vision for the future of Pennsylvania agriculture expressed by then Governor-elect Shapiro. Right? He had a vision for where he saw the economic development intersecting with agriculture. He saw needs in both the education as noted, but also where these things that we've invested in over time in a public policy way, where they come together. And farmland preservation is part of that. You also arrive at this moment understanding that there are many, many people who brought us here. There are 1,000 people, right? As you look across time, nearly 40 years of farmland preservation is on display here in Lebanon County. There are county administrators, there are county boards, there are surveyors and legal teams. There are folks who spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to deal with the issues that are embedded in land and land use. There are appraisers, there are county commissioners, there are township supervisors. There's so many folks who are part of this celebration, and really we owe the honor of this day to you for the work that you've done. So to each of the administrators, thank you for what you do. For each of the partners, thank you as well. As noted by the governor, I mean, this is a milestone. This is a moment that we get a chance to celebrate. In 6,600 farms and 650,000 acres. And it is an important milestone because it's not simply a statistic, it's a promise. It was a promise made 40 years ago. It was a promise that the voters of Pennsylvania, and I say it every time, that this would be an extraordinary achievement if it were simply one of the department or one of the legislature, one of a particular county or a governor even. This was a question asked of the voters of Pennsylvania in 1987. Should we indebt ourselves for the purpose of preservation and perpetuity? 2-to-1 margin. 2-to-1 margin. They said yes. And not surprising, it is the voters of urban and suburban counties who carried the vote. We wouldn't have a farmland preservation program if it were simply for the rural votes. And there's power in that because it's the connection. It's what people in urban centers saw of open space and land. And that connection is something that we try to honor. We try to recognize that long term, that these are decisions that are made, not just by this family, but by this state. And that connection to those who are in our urban centers and suburban areas and rural communities are tied together forever by way of the decisions of our farmland preservation program. So this is a promise. It's a promise that rooted in growing tomorrow by preserving today. But it's also a promise that this land will remain open and productive and rooted in agriculture. It's a promise that the children, like the Copenhavers who are growing up on these farms today, will have the opportunity to farm tomorrow. It's a promise that our beginning farmers, like Brent once was, and anyone who wants to seat at the table, is welcome here. That our food will be locally grown, that our land will be protected, and our agricultural heritage will endure, not just in memory, but in reality. So it's important to remember history. It's important to remember this milestone. It's important to recognize that as proud as we are of this day and the achievement that we have here to celebrate, it is not going to stay here just because you and I like it. It'll stay here if somebody sees opportunity in it. And to me, that's the promise piece of preservation. It's the promise that we see a future that has more young farmers and more productive land in an area that's under pressure every day to produce. We have it here in Pennsylvania. We know that this is an important decision for the farm families. And as somebody who owns a preserved farm in Adams County, I'm always mindful of decisions that my father-in-law and mother-in-law made because they saw something. They're very committed to agriculture, very committed. And I think of the farmers who every day you make decisions about what today to do, right? What are you going to do? You milk cows, you farm. There are decisions that you make that are for this year, what to plant. There are decisions you make for your lifetime as a farmer. What kind of operation do you want to have, right? How do you want to build this family and accommodate extended family? And then there are decisions you make that are forever. And therein lies the distinction between most folks and the few. It's the 65 and 6,600 families who have said, I want this farm to be a productive agricultural asset. The answer, the question that we asked the voters in 1987. We want this farm to be a productive agricultural asset in perpetuity. That's a forever decision. There's no going back. In the final days of my father-in-law's life, his name was Daniel. I said, Daniel, what are you most proud of? And without hesitation, he said, it's the preservation and the conservation of my farm. And once you got past the shock, it wasn't you, and it wasn't the family, it wasn't any of those things. It was his farm. And I thought, what a beautiful story. That this place in this state is full of Daniels. This county's full of Daniels. We've got 6,600 Daniels. And what a powerful story, both about the work that each have done and their legacy, but also the power of Pennsylvania. And what it looks like in the future is noted by the governor when you take more young farmers, you take these first and seconds, you take this land, and that's a powerful story. That's the promise that was on the ballot. We've lived it, we continue, but we keep investing because the promise is not over. The promise just began. So thank you for what you do. Honored to be here. Always good to be with the governor, and thank you for what you do. As I noted, you cannot do this work without counties who have amazing sort of staff and amazing sort of commitment to farmland preservation. So I am honored today to introduce the chairman. As I ask about how to pronounce his name, I was told Bam Bam and Paul, but I think it's Mr. Chairman, Bam is Ryder. So please come forward. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good. Thank you.
Bam Bam.
Welcome.
Huh? All right.
Thank you, Secretary.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Shapiro. I'd just like to be brief. Secretary Redding said that, after a lot of great speeches, all we really want to do is get up and say amen. So basically that's what I'll be doing. But I'd like to start with a confession. And that confession is that I am not an original Lebanon County guy. I moved here 36 years ago. I came from the western part of the state, and I was raised a city boy. I grew up outside of Pittsburgh. And for various reasons, I came here in 1989 to practice law and with a local firm. And one of the first things I did, my senior partner was a guy by the name of Jim Riley. And Jim's kind of a local legend in the practice of law. And one of the first things he did is he took me to Harrisburg for a court proceeding. And we drove down 322. And to this day, I can remember that drive. That was 1989. It was 36 years ago. And I just remember it was the first time I had ever seen this valley. And I was just in awe. It was like about 8 o'clock in the morning. The sun was coming up. It was just, the light was just hitting it perfectly. And I could not get over how beautiful this valley was. So I would just like to say that the reason we're preserving this land is because of, take a look at that view. And that is what drives us. And that's why I'm proud as a former city boy to be holding this role as chairman of the Lebanon County Preservation Board. Again, I'd just like to thank Governor Shapiro and Secretary Redding for agreeing to have this event here in Lebanon County. I think what we see demonstrates why this was such an excellent choice. In Lebanon County, since the inception of this program, we have preserved close to 22,000 acres of land. We had a nice celebration a couple years ago when we hit 20,000 acres. So we've preserved 22,000 acres. We've got another 2,000 acres in the pipeline. And so we think that's really fantastic. So in the next year or two, we're going to preserve a whole nother 2,000 acres. We, again, kind of the theme here has been we couldn't do this without a lot of other people. We couldn't do this without the governor. We couldn't do this without the secretary and all of his amazing staff. We couldn't do this, without the people who preserve the farms. And frankly, we couldn't do it without our county commissioners, who I see sitting there. And thank you very much for all that you do. I think we have a budget meeting next week. So if you're feeling a little generous, Commissioner Kuhn, Commissioner Litz, we'd love to have a little extra money. And I'd also like to thank, lastly, the people, probably the most important people, the base here, the people who preserve their farms. Because, without them, this might all be, and I've got nothing against developers, but this could all be, houses. And there's a place for houses. We need houses in Lebanon County, but we also want to preserve our farmland. So, again, thank you very much, and it's a privilege.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Our final speaker is going to be Sarah Firestone. And Sarah, please join us. We're looking forward to what you have to say. Thank you. Madam President.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. It is truly an honor and privilege to stand here today on farmland that we know will be here for generations to come. Growing up, I was always a dreamer. In high school, I dreamed of winning FFA competitions and of one day serving as a state officer. Those dreams became possible because of the people who came before me. Those who built opportunities, preserved traditions, and created a path for future generations to grow, learn, and lead. Now, as a young adult, I still find myself dreaming. This time, about the type of future I want to help build. And that future depends on the choices that we make today. The land just like this that we protect, the values we uphold, and the opportunities that we create for those who will one day follow in our footsteps. In many ways, it's exactly what we're celebrating here today, growing tomorrow by preserving today. Farmland preservation is never just about holding on to the past, but rather safeguarding the foundation on which we choose to build the future. Every acre of farmland preserved in Lebanon County represents more than just soil. It represents opportunity. Opportunity for the first farmer to plant their very first crop, for the next FFA member to discover rich agriculture, and for our families and communities, just like the ones here in Lebanon County, to grow and thrive around a strong and stable food system. As my teammates and I travel to schools across Pennsylvania, we see firsthand how the future of agriculture is being shaped by the students of agriculture education. FFA, the largest youth-led organization in the nation, is home to more than 1 million FFA members. These young leaders are finding their purpose and passion within our great industry. With more than 16,000 here in Pennsylvania alone, these are not just students in blue jackets, but rather future business owners, scientists, entrepreneurs, and leaders of tomorrow. They are discovering careers in agricultural mechanics, animal science, horticulture, natural resources, and food technology that we will one day depend upon. And just like land preservation, they are the foundation of agriculture tomorrow. Farmland preservation and agricultural education go hand in hand. You cannot have one without the other. If we continue to protect the land but not the passion, we will simply lose our future. But if we inspire and ignite the passion, but we fail to protect the land, we limit the dreams of the future generations. But as an industry, when we commit to both, preserving today and growing tomorrow, we can continue to ensure that Pennsylvania agriculture can and will hold true for generations to come. So as I stand here today, I am truly grateful. Grateful to the farmers like the Copenhavers who steward this land. Grateful to the leaders that sit before me today who invest in its preservation. And I'm also grateful to the dreamers like the FFA members that I see gathered around here today. I'm grateful to everyone. And as we wrap up here today, I just want to say that we are rooted in preservation and our story is lifted by possibility. So together we are writing a story of Pennsylvania agriculture, one that is blossoming for generations to come. Thank you.
That was amazing, Sarah. That was incredible. Great job. Really great job. Thank you. I'm not sure why any of us spoke when we could have just had Sarah speak. And I am certain that the title Sarah Firestone has of president, this will not be the last time you enjoy the term president before your name. God willing, America will have the benefit of your expertise and your passion for ag. Thank you. And I have to say, the blue and gold corduroy jacket you wear, that to me always symbolizes excellence. And so to not just Sarah, but all of our FFA members who are here, thanks for what you do. Thanks for the passion that you bring, the joy that you bring to agriculture. You guys are just awesome. I look forward to seeing you many more times, including at the farm show, where, by the way, dude, you're ready for the mullet contest at the farm show this year. So I look forward to that. And with that, Sarah, do you want to come up and take the questions from the media, or do I have to do that? All right. I'll take a few questions. Go ahead. Go ahead, John.
You lead off?
Yeah.
Governor, when you're talking to farmers around the state, generally speaking, what's the number one issue you hear that's facing them right now in Pennsylvania?
Well, look, they want more capital, and they're concerned about workforce. I think the number one thing they're concerned about right now are these tariffs. I mean, I think we're seeing the tariffs really hurt our farmers here in Pennsylvania. We've seen, for example, those who work in, the forestry industry, they've lost 35% of their market in just the 6 months or so since those tariffs have been in place. We've seen a number of our dairy farmers be more and more concerned about losing market share, particularly with Mexico. I think these tariffs are just hurting our farmers maybe more than any other sector. I think I've been very clear. I think the president's policies on tariffs are harming Americans, making things cost more, and farmers are really bearing the brunt of it.
There's a report that the Trump administration might be preparing a bailout package of sorts that could maybe benefit farmers that have been impacted by tariffs. Do you think that's something that could benefit them? Do you think that's something that the Trump administration should go forward with?
I mean, I haven't seen what the Trump administration is doing. I'm not sure why you'd put tariffs in place, shut down markets, drive up costs, and then say to farmers, and here's some money not to farm. I think what farmers want to do is they want to farm. They want to produce more of their crops. They want to do more. They don't want to be inhibited. And I think what these tariffs have done is really inhibited our farmers and driven up costs for consumers. Anybody else? Yeah.
Governor, speaking of having the word president in front of your name, we'll just leave it at that. But in terms of farmland preservation, is there any sort of goal that you as the governor or that Secretary Redding has? I mean, is it 800,000 acres,
Yeah.
1 million acres?
Look, I wanted us to be number one. We have now achieved that, and I want us to stay number one, which is going to require us to continue to invest. I'm going to keep leaning on lawmakers of both parties to give us more resources to preserve more farms. I want us to keep going here. I think this is a great way for us to know that the future of Pennsylvania's economy is going to run right through farms like this one. So I want us to keep going. I want us to stay number one. Look, I'm competitive as hell. I want us to be number one at everything. Now that we're number one on farmland preservation, we're going to do everything we can to stay there. Anything else from the media? Yeah.
Governor, are there any new initiatives, any ideas to attract new farmers or keep farmers in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, I think, look, investing more in ag innovation is critically important. Investing more in the workforce. Again, proud of the fact that we've got more farmers under the age of 35 than any other state. That's good for the future, but I want us to be greatly positioned for the future, so we've got to invest more there. I want us to continue to fully fund the Farm Bill. Again, the budget that is sitting over in the Senate right now fully funds all of my ag investments. It does so, by the way, while cutting taxes and protecting our rainy day fund. Hopefully the Senate will come back to work and pass that budget, and we'll be able to invest more in agriculture.
One more on topic from James.
Yep.
That was a similar question, Governor. We have young people here in Lebanon County who don't have the legacy farms to fall back on, and they're leaving the state to go work in Virginia and other places. Again, the last question is kind of similar, but what can we do to keep those young people in Pennsylvania? So it's one thing to invest in the land, but we also need to invest in the young people who want to work it but don't have access to a legacy farm.
Yeah, I think getting more of this training into our schools at the middle school and the high school level is really important to turning on people's interest in farming. And then marrying them up to the jobs that exist, to the farms that are there, being able to help them afford getting started as farmers. All of those investments in workforce, again, in the budget that's sitting over in the Senate, those things are going to help us keep our young talent here and allow them to have a future of farming here in Pennsylvania. Okay? John, last one, because I want to talk to these FFA folks.
In June, you announced that your administration was filing a lawsuit against USDA over the cancellation of LFPA, the Local Food Assistance Cooperative Agreement Program. Correct me if I'm wrong, we've not heard a resolution to that lawsuit yet. So, I mean, as these farmers and food banks are waiting for this, again, is your administration prepared to do anything else to potentially keep this program up running should that lawsuit not be successful?
Yeah, look, for those of you who are not familiar, we had this really, I think, noble and righteous program that we worked on with the federal government, where the federal government would invest $13 million in farms, over 100 farms across Pennsylvania, where they would produce whatever it was, their poultry, crops, whatever it was, they're producing meats, cheeses, and then take that product and send it to our food banks across Pennsylvania for folks who are hungry. And so this was not only a huge market for farmers, it was really important for people who are hungry, who are in need. And the federal government signed a 3-year contract with Secretary Redding to continue this program, and then they broke that contract. We took legal action, and we're in the process of trying to get our money back. I can tell you, John, I think I've had to sue this administration 12 times for money they took away from us. I've won every single time, and we got our money back, because Pennsylvanians deserve to know if they pay their federal taxes, those dollars come back here to Pennsylvania. This is an example of money that should be coming back to Pennsylvania, should be coming back to help our farmers, and should be going to helping people who are hungry. And again, to me, look, I'm not here to talk politics. I realize people have different parties, they're registered, but this is common sense stuff, right? Why wouldn't we want to help our farmers? Why wouldn't we want to help people who are hungry? And to me, the fact the Department of Agriculture decided to cut this funding for Pennsylvania just makes no sense. So look, I got a pretty darn good track record of fighting and winning for the people of Pennsylvania. I'm going to keep fighting on this, and we're going to make sure our farmers get what is due to them. Okay? Go ahead, Em. Yeah.
One more off-topic, Governor. Just want to get your thoughts on leaked messages yesterday from the young political movers and shakers, and how leaders need to call out this kind of stuff.
Is this that young Republican? Yeah. I mean, this was just awful. Look, I know what I read, that you got a group of the young Republican leaders who were sending racist, misogynistic, threatening text messages back and forth, not just one time, but over and over and over again. I mean, look, first off, I hope none of them work here in Pennsylvania. And I would assume that the Republican leaders here wouldn't employ any folks like that. But look, the temperature is just too damn high in our politics today. I mean, my family and I have experienced that directly. And if we don't bring down the political temperature, then we're going to see more and more political violence in this country. And I think we can all agree that that political violence is not okay. And it's got to be condemned. It's got to be condemned by people on both sides of the aisle. And when you allow hate speech like that to continue and you give it a pass, that's what leads to dangers in our society. We can have honest differences. Hell, I'm here in Lebanon County. I'm sure there's a bunch of you here probably didn't even vote for me. That's okay. That's okay. We can have political differences, but I think we all have to hold ourselves to a standard where we treat one another with respect. And I think what you saw with those text messages is a lack of respect for people of color, lack of respect for women, a lack of respect for people who just look and act and think different than they do. And we can't have that in our society. We need more young people like those FFA leaders right there who bring love and joy and respect into our communities. And what we can't tolerate are any leaders at any level giving a pass to those people. What we need right now is to condemn that hateful language, to condemn political violence, which often comes from that. And we need to do better as a society. I'm certainly trying to do my part to speak and act with moral clarity. And I hope everybody else does at the same time. We can have honest differences about issues. We can vote for different people. We got to bring down the temperature in this country. And we can't excuse behavior like that. All right? Thanks, everybody.